Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. I'm your host, Sudeep Maiti, career designer. Welcome to Classroom to Boardroom Talk Show, episode number 23. We have gathered here to enlighten you about the different ways by which the transition from classroom to boardroom can easily happen. And we will discuss about the hurdles or challenges that come along the way. Take charge of your career and also listen to the different eminent person who have excelled in their own fields. Today we have invited one of the great coach who is a future proofer, unlimited thought leaders, curiosity catalyst, and coach, and stress eradicator, and solopreneur, and the professional speaker. She believes that curiosity is more important than the emotional intelligence and intelligence combined. She has developed a framework that helps you to think more effectively and win, unlocking the science of thinking and the true art of living. She is on a mission to ignite 7.6 billion world citizens of their greatest superpower. I am pleased to welcome Melinda Mulke from UK with thunderous rounds of applause. Today's topic is through curiosity, one can happier, healthier, successful, and unlimited. Welcome, Melinda, in this particular the talk show. So I would ask before moving into the different query and all. So I will ask you, can you please introduce yourself and we can move forward afterwards, the other
Well,
query.
thank you, Sandeep. That was a really great introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Melinda. Hi there. And I am a curiosity catalyst or curiosity specialist. How did I find curiosity is an interesting question. And that was predominantly through just a number of issues to do with mental health, basically, not getting what I wanted. And that led me down quite a difficult road of understanding that actually um, the reason why I didn't get what I wanted is because I was actually focusing on the wrong thing. But of course, I didn't know that at the time. So when you're in sort of mental dysfunction, mental difficulty, and you have other than issues that sort of spiral out of control in terms of your health and so forth, um, sometimes the doctors don't always have all the answers. And in my case, they didn't. And so when you kind of go and see a doctor and you just give them a couple of symptoms, of course, they just tick the box. But if you don't fit within that box, then what happens? Well, in my case, he just kind of shooed me away and gave me some antidepressants and told me to get on with it. But what I realized actually is that stress is a very big catalyst, and stress actually has lots of tentacles, which is now causing great harm throughout the world. In fact, not just in the UK, but the world, and which is why stress is now classed as a pandemic, not an epidemic. Um, so, how did I manage to deal with that level of difficulty? I asked myself a very important question, and that one question led me here to where I am today. Just that one question. It was a very simple question. And what I found really curious is that I didn't realize at the time that what I was doing was asking this one question. But it was only really much, much later that I actually noticed, and someone sort of said to me, "How did you get through so much?" Because one of the things I actually went through was cancer. And, when I'm sort of sitting there getting a diagnosis from my doctor for cancer, it would be difficult to be anything. You certainly couldn't be happy if you had a negative diagnosis, could you? And one thing I was curious is how can I change my odds of survival And that actually was part of the question. So the question is, how can I improve my situation? And that one question led me on a journey of radical discovery and transformation. I mean, I managed to actually drop about 6 dress sizes, just to give you an idea, and to get through cancer and so forth. And what was really interesting is that I didn't know at the time that what I was doing, and I was sort of looking into the concept of happiness. What I do realize is actually happiness is like a lot of emotions. It's contingent upon circumstances. What I mean by that is that, you know, you can't always be happy because of certain circumstances. But the one thing you can always be time and again is you can always be curious. And so that's how I ended up looking into it, and then spent a great deal of time actually, well, what is this curiosity? What is it? And that led me to actually determine 70 benefits for curiosity. 70 benefits. Happiness,
Great.
according to Sean Aker of Harvard University, has 9. Pretty incredible, right?
Yeah. 70 benefits. It's
Yeah,
from the curiosity. It's really great.
yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, great to know. Yeah. So, why do you think that exactly the curiosity and the happiness? Is there any linkage between that? Or no, it's a totally different, opposite to each other.
Is there a link between happiness and curiosity? Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a direct link, in fact, and that's the point. The point is that the reason why curiosity has so many benefits is because actually, when you trace how you think back, how you think, feel, and then behave, it all starts with a degree of curiosity. There's always that little spark, that spark of interest that leads you down a route. So, for instance, how can I be happy would be a really, really good question to ask. But we're too busy kind of saying, well, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. Why aren't I happy? And so they're just, why aren't I happy? That's the wrong question to be asking. How can I be happy is the better question to ask. And of course, that involves your curiosity, but both involve your curiosity, but one is a very positive element. So there's what I would say with curiosity, there's a little bit of a catalyst. And as far as if you want to capitalize on your curiosity, you must involve an element of um, intention, in the intention to actually do something good, as opposed to, people use curiosity, for instance, to go down the rabbit hole of social media, and that's not very positive curiosity. It's curiosity because, of course, it allows you to go down that route. But it's mindlessness. But one of the benefits of curiosity is mindfulness. So to sort of look at the elements that are involved with the basis of thinking, curiosity is significantly part of that whole process.
Great, great. So, how the curiosity? Do you think is it really helpful for anyone in their grow in their career? So, how do you can explain to that particular things? The curiosity as well as the career. Is there any linkage between that?
There is an absolute definite link. The link is that if you want to improve your life, if you want to be successful in particular, if that's what you're asking, there is a direct link with curiosity. People who are successful, in fact, Gary Vaynerchuk recently attributed a 3-minute video on his, I think it was LinkedIn or one of his channels, where he actually attributes his whole success to curiosity, which is a really interesting thing. And he's not the only one. I mean, Einstein knew it. Stephen Hawkins knew it. A lot of very sort of hard-hitting big names in throughout history know it. Aristotle, for instance. And the reason why they realize, and actually you look at all the big billionaires in the world, look at Richard Branson, Sarah Blakely, they all mention curiosity, right? And the reason why it's so important for success, and it is actually your greatest indicator for success, the more curious you are, the more successful you are likely to be, and the more money you are likely to earn. Right, so there's a direct link with your wealth potential, and the reason why is when you actually look at anything you do, but say for argument's sake, you're an entrepreneur and you want to sort of set out to develop your own business, then you would need your curiosity to, first of all, create an idea. So it's intrinsically linked with creation and innovation. It's you would also need it for problem solving, because without problem solving, you wouldn't have a business, because you're always going to have problems whenever you're setting up a business, whether you're setting up a business or whether you're actually, carrying that business through. There's always problems, always. In fact, when you look at the opposite of curiosity, there's complacency, right? The concept of complacency. And so the reason why you have such hard hitters like Elon Musk, he's not complacent. He's the opposite of complacent. He's always curious. People like, the sort of the Google executives, what was his name? Tim, can't remember his name.
Larry Page. Larry Page.
Larry Page, and wasn't it Tim something? Yeah, very, very curious people. And the reason why is because it keeps your mind very flexible. You don't get stuck in that complacency. You don't get stuck in that, oh, poor me, I haven't got I don't know how to get through this kind of thing. What curiosity does is it actually drives you to think for solutions. Now, I'll just explain what happens there, if you don't mind, because this is a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
And that is when we actually trace how your brain actually functions right back to the very, very start. There's 4 things that actually happen. So you have, curiosity is the ignition, fuel, and engine that takes you from where you are to where you want to be, right? But how does that actually work? Well, when you look at thinking, there's quite a few things involved. So once you actually ignite your curiosity, you actually think of something that interests you. That is all that's needed. Once you think of something that interests you, the next question is, well, what can I do with that interest, or how can that improve my situation? Now, so you've got this whole driver going on. So not only is so your brain's actually looking for actionable steps to take. And so you've got dopamine, which is involved. You get a hit of dopamine, which is a feel-good reward chemical. And as it does that, it actually powers you towards the goals that you choose to seek. So when you actually look at dopamine in particular, what's interesting is that dopamine was always classed as the reward chemical, right? But actually, new science shows it's the promise of reward, which is what curiosity is. Curiosity is looking for the reward. So it's actually as a direct result of curiosity. Now, when you have that fueling you, that enables you to go much, much further, enables you to find the answers that you seek. And of course, your brain loves to seek and find information for you. And in fact, whatever question you ask, your brain will actually find it. We'll find the answer. And so you have this whole element of it not just igniting and not just giving you that fuel, but you've also got that ability to move towards that goal, which is really the fuel, the engine, and the engine being the questions that you ask. How, what can I do to improve this? How can I improve this? So questioning is very much directly linked with curiosity. Yeah. But then you also have this whole concept of the actual initiator, what I like to call the initiator, if you like, which is the ignition. But it can also be an intervention. So in terms of stress, you would use curiosity as an intervention. So there's a lot going on, boom, 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 and one thing after another. But 4 main elements. You've got your ignition, or you've got your interrupter, the pattern interrupter, which is your curiosity, what's going on, understanding, is there a situation that needs your attention, which then takes you down this route of, okay, well, what is really going on? And then there's like, well, okay, how can I improve this situation? All of these are questions, and what they're doing is just hitting one or igniting one process at a time, but it's a very knock-on effect. Now, what I've just described actually takes milliseconds, and which is why it's been overlooked, because it takes milliseconds, and yet it's taken me how long to actually explain that to you. So it's a really, really complex process of thinking, but actually the reason why it's been overlooked for so long is because it's so fast. It's so intrinsic to everything we think, feel, and do. It's there all the time. It's always there. We just don't know it. We know we've never really noticed it until now. So does that kind of help you understand? I know that was a long-winded way about it.
Yeah. So what I could understand about this curiosity. So what curiosity is the mother of invention. What I would say, whatever we have invented. So if you are not curious about that particular things, you can't be an entrepreneur, or there is no invention for that. And when you reach to your particular the goal, whatever you want to achieve through the curiosity, so definitely, so you can say that you are already successful in your life. What that is, that way we can say that, so you are happy and you are unlimited.
Yeah. Do you want to just rephrase the question for me, if that is a question?
No, that's not the questions I thought of. Yeah, briefing about these particular things. This is my understanding in terms of the curiosity.
Right,
If there is
sorry.
no curiosity behind, so definitely I'll not go about that particular things. Correct. So it's basically the give me the any, not me exactly. It's for the everyone. It's give some kind of the ignitions to do some things better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what's really interesting is that, we're all too busy asking the wrong questions. But when we start to ask the right questions with the right intention, your
exactly.
curiosity will take you wherever you need to go. That's why it's so
Correct.
unlimited, because there's no limit to there's no limit to questions, first of all, and there's no limit to the answers either. And so that's why it's unlimited. But there's another reason why it is unlimited, and that is that when you actually ignite your curiosity, you also open up your brain, and you reduce as you engage your neocortex, which is your rationalizing part of the brain, but also your down regulating stress hormones that will actually reduce how much information goes into your brain. So your brain becomes actually wider, and as it does that, your brain's filtering system, as it does that, what's really exciting is that it enables you to rationalize much easier, much better. But here's the great thing about it: it actually also reduces your biases, because every time you think about something, you're biased every single time. There's not one thing that I could say. I could just give you one word, and you would immediately come up. That one word would actually ignite an image in your mind, and you will always attach whether it's good or bad. Generally, if I said to you an apple, you think red, juicy, whatever it is. Now, I said that once. I said to someone, blackberries, I really love blackberries. And someone said, oh, I don't like blackberries. I remember biting into one once and there was a worm in it. And I just immediately went, oh, God, because I like blackberries. I didn't really, that would not be fun. But whereas I associated blackberries as wonderful, and summer, she associated it with like literally throwing up. Now, why am I telling you this? Because every single thing that you think has a degree of attachment to it, these neural attachments or associations. But what curiosity does, when you're in curiosity, it says to you, okay, I know about these associations, they're there, but actually I'm just going to push them to the side, because then I can open up my brain and start really bringing in more information. And that is where we really need to be at the moment, because we can't any longer. We've been going through this whole process of adjustment after COVID, and I still have people say to me, I wish it would all go back. Why would you want it to go backwards? You can't. Why would you want to? This is a learning wonderful process of what life is all about. But what COVID really highlighted was change, right? The concept of change, and change is ever present. We just didn't realize how ever present it really is. I mean, the universe is expanding into something, right? So that's change in itself. But then, of course, you've got our environment is changing every single day, and our weather system is also changing. Okay, so there's constant change. Change is our constant. And so what curiosity does is it actually enables us to actually be able to deal with change much more effectively. So reducing these biases is one of the best things that curiosity does. And as it does that, it enables you to open up your thinking and think so that there is less bias and more unlimitedness. And as it does that, because you only know what you only know, right? But curiosity puts you into that potential thinking, that uncertainty. And that's where the true growth is. That's where we all should be aiming at. We all want to be getting on the other side of comfort. We want to be getting into the concept of potentiality. And that is where our true power lies. But we're also scared because it's different, it's uncomfortable. But when we actually realize that that's where our true power is, that's where we want to be all the time. Yeah. So I know that, again, that's a very, very long-winded way of sort of explaining just how wonderful curiosity is. But I hear people sort of talk about millionaire mindset, and that just makes me cringe. Millionaire mindset, because we aspired to be millionaires when we were 10. I mean, I'm 50 years of age, right? When I was 10, I aspired to be a millionaire. But there are 2,755 billionaires in the world. So why are we still buying into that concept of millionaire mindset when we could have a billion or even a trillion? So when you're in curiosity, you actually question everything, and it's such a fabulous place to be. You question things like relationships, the concept of what meaning actually is, the concept of depression, the concept of mental health issues, the concept of love. Everything is questioned, and when you come from a place of questioning, that's where your true power is, because that's where you also find the truth of the matter. And that is a really empowering place to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense exactly. Yeah, really.
Mm.
So my next questions to you. So how do you stay curious and motivated? Is there any way? So
Yeah, look, curiosity is the easiest thing to do. First of all, at the basis of high performance, a guy called Stephen Kotler talks about flow, getting into flow, which is this whole concept of deep, deep, intense kind of focus. And what that does is that obviously it releases certain brain chemicals and enables you to actually focus much longer and get more stuff done in a shorter amount of time, right? And that is a beauty. And I'm sure you've probably come across the concept of flow. But interestingly, at the basis of flow is, guess what? Curiosity. So how do you and the reason why I talk about flow is because we talk about high performance. Now, when you're an entrepreneur and you've got a long-term sort of project, a bit like myself, curiosity for me is a long-term project. How do I stay motivated? Because when you're going through this kind of the challenge, which is a roller coaster ride, most of the time there's a lot of dips and very few sort of peaks. And one of the interesting concepts of motivation and flow in particular is that you do have to ride those situations. There's always going to be problems, but how can you stay motivated when you're in so many dips? Yeah. And at the very basis of motivation is curiosity. At the basis of flow is curiosity. At the basis of, obviously, innovation, so thinking more innovatively, thinking more creatively, is the basis of curiosity is the basis of those two. Yeah, and then you've got the whole concept of intelligence. So intelligence. You can't be highly intelligent without being extremely curious. You just can't. And here's another really interesting thing. Then you got passion. How can you be passionate? Well, all these questions are based or actually stem, all these, I call them outcomes, actually stem from your curiosity. That grit to keep you going when you're in business is curiosity. And what I mean by that is this whole intersection of interests. So you've got, you might be interested about one thing, interested about another, but essentially you're always saying to yourself, how can I get through this? How can I get over this hurdle? I mean, if you look at I think probably one of the sort of the main guys at the moment who's making massive strides in everything is Elon Musk. And when you actually look at the way he actually gets through situations, you only need to look at Tesla. I mean, there was a massive stumbling block with Tesla, and he had that issue with the battery. It was too expensive. So because he had all these wonderful people telling him, well, it's too expensive, we just can't get it any cheaper. And he was like, no, this is, I'm not accepting that. And instead, he was the one who actually worked out the real problem using first principle thinking, which he coined, which was actually an Aristotle term, which is based on a very scientific approach using curiosity, using questioning. How much were the battery parts, or what makes a battery? How can I make those parts? How much those parts cost? Well, he ended up actually creating $1 billion business as out of something that was causing him a lot of problems. And so then you use curiosity as a way to flip situations to your advantage. So there is always potentiality. That's what I'm saying. This is potentiality thinking. And why do I tell you that story? Is because you do need that grit. You need that flexibility. You need that resourcefulness to be able to stay in business, to be able to navigate situations more effectively. And you cannot be resourceful. You cannot be flexible. You cannot remain always constantly passionate about your project. You cannot have that sort of motivation without your curiosity. You just can't. They are so intrinsically linked. So there's so many sort of areas, and the one constant about them all is your curiosity, and which is just fantastic that we're just realizing this now.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are not curious to do the things, so definitely you can't achieve whatever you want. You are given the great example of the Elon Musk. So as an entrepreneur, life is always the roller coaster. So you don't know what will happen tomorrow. So definitely, so if you are not curious what you are going to achieve, so you will not move, you will not take that particular path. But in the normal 9 to 5, what we are doing basically, so we know that, so monthly we know that, so this much salary will come. So we know what is my expenditure and all. There is no roller coaster. There is no curiosity at all. So, but the being an entrepreneur, as you told about the Richard Branson and the Elon Musk. So yeah, it's really great example, and they follow the curiosity, and through that curiosity they invent so many things, and they're very successful in their life what they want to do. Yeah,
and the thing
great.
is, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. This is the whole point, because if you've got a brain in your head, anyone can be curious. And you only need to look at children. When children play, they're in constant curiosity. They're constantly sort of, you actually see them sort of putting the little building blocks together and using it as a means to kind of understand what's really going on. So the basis of, when you look at science, the basis of science and innovation is very much curiosity. Science is based on curiosity.
Absolutely.
So and I always say to people, if you don't want to improve your life, if you want to remain exactly the same as you are, doing what you're doing, that's absolutely great, then fine. But what the one thing I would say, particularly about not just in business but in life, if you want to increase the length of your life, you do actually need to be more curious, because your mind is never set. right? It's either, and that's why I don't like the word mindset, because it is an oxymoron as far as I'm concerned. The mind is never set. It's either learning or it's dying off. If you're not learning anything new, the brain cells eventually, or the connections start to die away. But curiosity is now being used for mental health issues. It's been used for sort of dementia. So those people who've got dementia or Alzheimer's, you can use curiosity to actually stave it off. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you want not just to improve your life, but if you want to actually be mentally healthy and live longer, then you do actually need to be more curious. And so this is coming from a place of stop thinking that we know everything. Stop believing that there is no that there there's only change every now and again. We need to start believing that change is our constant. We need to start understanding that we constantly need to be asking ourselves, just asking yourselves every single day, how can I improve my health? How can I improve my cognitive health? And you give yourself that task, or your brain that little nugget, and it goes, oh, I don't know, let me go find out for you, and off it goes, and your brain actually goes into overdrive and says, right, need to find out how I can keep my brain healthy. So this is not just based on even your career development. This is based on longevity. This is based on your entire happiness and your health. So this is it's so profound. It's so profound. And the other thing as well, it's so profoundly simple. Anyone can do it. This is the whole crazy thing about it. Anyone can do it. It's insane. So I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great concept. I feel that the great science is behind that. So those who are listening to us, so I would say, so you can start following the Melinda. So she is available in the LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as the Instagrams and YouTube. You can follow her if you want to know more about the curiosity, how it will help you to grow in your career, in your life, everywhere. She can guide to you, so you can follow to her. And if you have any questions, those who are listening to us, so you can message me here in the comment box so that we can clarify your query and all. Yeah. And if you don't have, so definitely later part also, if you can drop me a message, so I can pass the message to the Melinda, so she can provide the proper answer based on your query. So that's the things. And thanks, Melinda, for your time and accepting my invitations and giving me the opportunity to share this platform with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
So yeah. So we are closing this particular show here. And those who are listening to us, so I want to thanks each one of you from bottom of my heart. That thanks. Thank you so much for your time. So you are listening to us. Thank you. Have a great day for you. Bye.
Bye.